All right, welcome to the Bullet Viral Traffic bonus webinar. Let's give everybody just a minute here to hop on the webinar. Real quick audio check. Make sure, can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you just type in there and just let me know that you can hear me, see me? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Got it. All right. So what I want to do today is cover a little bit more detail, right? I asked a few questions about what you guys want to hear, and the topics were all over the place. Everything from legal to everybody's favorite monetization. So I want to touch on those as briefly as I can, or as deeply as I can in the first hour here. And hopefully I can answer all of your questions. Of course, if I don't, just feel free to shoot an email. And then at the end, I've got something that you guys may want to hear more about. Okay. Well, I guess I've waited about a minute here, so let's just jump on in. So the first thing I want to do is express how viral traffic is different than news. Okay, you can use RSS feeds. There are plenty of RSS readers that work with your WordPress that can auto-post news and even news based on your keywords. But that's not what we want to get. We want to get viral content. And that's the stuff that is like a good old song or an old movie. It's just as good today as it is a year from now or a year before now. You just see it, it's a joke, you laugh, and when you see it again, you laugh again. And so this content's the same way. Even if you've seen it before, it's a funny meme, it's going to get laughs, it's going to get shares, and typically it's not very dated. Of course, there is viral content that is dated, but that shouldn't be the focus, right? We want to grab the classic stuff. And even though it may have age to it, you don't need to worry about it because people love it. And the cool thing is, this viral content is, it spans topics, right? So, I could have a site on dogs, but everybody who comes to my site is going to love this funny post I have on an innocent prank video shown on German TV, or it just kind of spans topics. So it's fun, right? And everybody loves it. And what I want to do real quick is just blast through a whole bunch of sample sites. So we actually have 2,000 people who are using the software, which is pretty awesome, and it's now closed down, right? No one else can buy it. And there have been a whole bunch of people that have some cool sites. So let me bust through a few sites real quick so that you can get some ideas. And some of these use our theme, or like in this case, it uses our theme with some tweaks. As you can see, you got some AdSense going on here. Got some categories. These guys just did an amazing job. Here's someone who does some niche focusing, right? They want some Zen meditation going on. Here's someone that has just a general viral content going on, and they have their lead capture form here. Twerk Nation. I mean, come on, how awesome could this be? And notice, even though the site's Twerk Nation, they know their audience. They know the people who are looking at all this twerking. They don't mind some sexy girl fights. So it's important. I'm going to talk about this later to get your keywords dialed in, and not niche down too tightly. And just let me click through a bunch of these other ones. Right, so you've got awesome articles. Some are branded, some aren't. Some's just a logo, some's not even a logo. They may use default themes, they may not use default themes. Pull in traffic. All sorts of different ways you can do it. There's even one that's a Pinterest style blog. So, pretty much the sky is the limit. And I want you guys to have fun with it, and I want you to have success with it. And so let's talk a little bit more about what we're going to talk about in this webinar. All right. First, theme installation and common issues with regards to getting the plugin up and running and generating content for you. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this just because it's kind of a technical thing. And once you get it, you get it. Second, legal concerns. Have a few emails from people just asking what the legalities are of this. And while I don't think it's a concern for most of us, I do want to touch on it and kind of put the good disclaimer around it. Next is how to figure out what your niches are and picking the right keywords. Then let's talk about the stools of getting traffic, what the SEO traffic is, how to get the social traffic. And then last but not least, everybody's favorite is monetization, right? So I think that's the one that's most important. It seems like most people are having great success already getting traffic I've gotten a whole bunch of people have already gotten 100, 200 users per day after the first week even, based either with organic traffic or social traffic, right? Both channels are producing, which was a surprise to me. I didn't expect organic to produce that quick. So let's see, before I move on here, anybody else if you have something you want me to cover, just go ahead and type it in now. I assume most people will want those last 3 bullets. Okay, monetization, integrating Facebook, and okay, yeah, SEO and keywords, link building, got it, okay, makes perfect sense. So let's plow right on and jump right on in. So next on the agenda here, theme installation and common issues. Okay, so technically, I would say a fair amount of people are relatively new to WordPress, and so installing a plugin was a little bit tricky, as well as reinstalling when we had an update or two. But I don't want to really go over that. There's a video on that, which you can see the link right there. It's a 3-minute process, and it's very straightforward. This works for 99% of web hosts. The most common reason we see people have issues is their web host is running a super old version of PHP, like more than 4 or 5 years. If that's the case, you really need to upgrade and change your host, right? You don't want some security holes where some crazy Chinese hackers come in and take you over. So go ahead and tell your host to upgrade. Otherwise, sometimes people will upload a theme for the plugin or a plugin for the theme. Just make sure you're uploading it in the right place. But I do want to touch real quick on the concept behind WordPress and themes and posts. So WordPress is really good about separating the content, which are the posts on your website, from how it's displayed, which is the theme of your website. And what this gets you is as it applies to us anyway, and everybody else, but as it applies to us, your bullet viral traffic posts or content comes in as posts, right? And that means that those posts can be displayed in any number of themes. As long as the theme is pretty standard, the bullet viral traffic content is going to work with it, because we've got a title, we've got a body, we've got an OG image, for sharing, we've got thumbnails, all that good stuff. So that means that any theme can work. Well, almost any theme can work. Probably, I haven't seen one that it doesn't work, but any theme can work. The flip side is also true. So we've got our bullet viral traffic themes. You can use those themes even for posts that aren't coming from our plugin. So say you have the plugin to pull in a random image once a day. Well, you can write your blog posts and pull in a random image once a day, and those posts will coexist together and they'll play nicely together. So, definitely that stuff is separated. And the cool thing is your themes, activating a theme should not break your blog at all. You can try our theme and it'll work for you or it won't work for you, but you can swap it on and off and it shouldn't affect you one bit. So next, I want to touch on saving images locally. So one of the settings for bullet viral traffic is save images locally, which means we take the images off of the source site like BuzzFeed, and then we save it into your WordPress media library. And then when the post goes live, it'll reference your WordPress media library. If you don't save locally, then when your WordPress post is viewed, it will actually link off to the post at BuzzFeed or Viral Nova or wherever. It's seamless to the user. The user can't tell whether the image is coming from BuzzFeed or coming from your blog. But by not saving it locally, then you remove a potential DMCA or legal issue. So let me drag this in here real quick, what I'm talking about. This right here. So by default, it's set to no, but you can change it to yes. Now, if you have it set to yes, the advantage is your post is always going to work. So potentially, BuzzFeed changes their site organization. They change the way their images work, and your post breaks on your site because we're referencing an image that no longer exists. So if you're paranoid, leave it to no. If you don't care, and you want your site to be more reliable, say yes. And again, if you haven't already noticed, most of these question marks have a pretty good explanation about how it all works. So that's no different. This is a common question though, and so I just want to touch on that real quick. Okay, next is the right sidebar let me pull this back up here. The right sidebar has some default widgets for the plugin that comes standard, right? So as you can see, there are no default widgets here. Let me show you what I needed to do to get rid of that. You just go to Appearance and Widgets. And as you can see, there is a blank text widget here in the sidebar. Now, if you haven't used WordPress and widgets a lot, you may not realize this, but this sidebar is this right here, this sidebar. So if there's anything in the sidebar, the default ones go away. And so now here's a blank one and the default ones go away. So if I wanted to, I can just delete this. So now this is empty, and what will happen is the sidebar widgets, the default ones, will show back up. There you go. So what that means is, let me put it back where it was. If you have banner ads, because obviously this is prime banner space over here, you should paste in your AdSense or banner code here. Bam. So that's where you want to put your AdSense and banner code. So I've had a few people asking about how to implement banner ads, how to implement affiliate ads, why there isn't a widget for it. Well, there doesn't really need to be a widget for it. You can just put a text widget, paste in your code, and bam, there you go. We designed all these themes to follow best practice. So there's really nothing overly complicated about it. You just need to know WordPress a little bit, and it makes total sense. And of course, you can always edit your theme should you want to tweak things a little bit, but you shouldn't need to. You should just be able to drag a widget, paste in your code, just like that, and be done. Make sense? Please chime in real quick, type it in. Okay, Chris, got it. Thanks, Jason. Cool. Okay, let me move right along. I don't want to dwell on this too much. Okay, changing logo, changing menu. All right, so as you can see, there's just a dummy text here, dummy logo. And a lot of people want to upload their own, just like all these other guys down here, like this, right? How do you add that logo? So to do that, it's actually really easy. You go to Appearances, Customize, Bullet Nova, because that's a theme. Look at there, upload an image. Select a file. There we go. I'll put Super Jesus because Jesus is my special friend. By the way, this is a test site. It may or may not work when you go to it. This is just where we test all of our latest content and crawlers and everything else, bug fixes, whatnot. Okay, so that's how you add a logo. Very simple. Bam. So as far as menu is concerned, so this particular theme does not have a menu at the top. But if you look, say for example, this theme does. And again, this follows WordPress best practice. It's standard where all the menus go. It's right here. So if I were to change to a theme that uses menus at the top, these are the pages that would show up. So as you can see, I have some categories where I was just testing that out, and the sample page just posted up there. But this is as simple as that. And so all you have to do is add in your pages to the menu, save it, and bam, automatically it shows up. So it's all fully dynamic. You just need to kind of drag and drop, and if you want to add terms, there you go. Just as easy as that, and it shows up right there. I know, really simple, but believe it or not, a fair amount of people, if you haven't played with WordPress a lot, you wouldn't realize that. So I don't want to throw that out and throw anybody under the bus. I will say this: the default widgets being showing up here, that one probably threw me for an hour the first time that I used WordPress. I distinctly remember banging my head against the desk trying to understand how that stuff is coming up, because it shouldn't be coming up. And I just leaned over to one of the guys over here at the office, and finally I gave up and I asked him, and he's like, "Oh, you just need to drag a widget in." Not very intuitive, but that's just the way WordPress works. Okay, anyway, last but not least, third-party plugins for social sharing icons and publicize. So as you can see, all of our themes come with the social icons, and even on the interior pages, it's got the social sharing as well. But the reality is, for both for the sharing icons as well as the post to the Jetpack Publicize to post to your social networks. Those are third-party plugins. And while we use these, you can use any, right? There's not a limitation. I don't want to limit you to what you can use. And as long as the plugin's good, it's going to work. I just like this particular one because it's clean and unobtrusive, and it makes it easy to share, and it does a good job, right? It's reasonably clean code. But if you like another one that maybe puts icons here, go for it, right? It's not rocket science. You should just do what we do over here. You install some plugins and see how they work, and you deinstall them if you don't like them. So that it works for both this and social, the social shares across the network, right? When a post goes live, it goes to Facebook. One of the Jetpack Publicize limitations is that it can only post to one page or one group at a time. Like Facebook, you may have 5 pages that you manage, but you can only post to one at any given point. There are other third-party plugins that you can use that'll post to multiple at a time. Not as applicable to guys that are just starting, but for someone like me who's got 20 pages, that may work a little bit better. But I particularly like Jetpack Publicize because it's integrated with WordPress, it's part of WordPress, and is very well supported. They'll answer questions quickly and promptly. So that pretty much covers installation and common configuration issues. Any questions on this? Nope. Bueller. Yeah, great question. You can drag extra things here. You could have third-party widgets that you can drag here, a calendar, anything can go here in the sidebar. All you need to do is go into that menu, right? The widgets section, and just drag it in. These are all the ones that are included more or less, but you can just add something in. And if it's like tracking code or AdSense code or anything special, you can just paste it right in. So yeah, piece of cake. All right, well, let's move on here. So next, let me talk a little bit about legal issues. Now, first off, IANAL. I am not a lawyer. Okay, I don't want to claim to be a lawyer or give you legal advice. So if you're truly concerned about this, you should talk to a lawyer. That said, let me tell you a little bit about my experience, and you can just run with it from there. Okay, so in general, I've never heard of anybody getting sued for curating content in this fashion. There's spinners and crawlers and RSS syndication magnets and everything else, auto posters out there, and I've never heard of anybody getting sued for that. I suppose it's possible, but it's not a common occurrence. But what you can do to help cover yourself or you can do a couple things to cover yourself, and one is the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. So if you have a content site, you can put up a DMCA notice, which basically says, hey, if there's anything on this site that you don't like, tell me and I'll remove it. Now, I think that's really important because, nobody wants a lawsuit. Nobody wants to pay lawyers. Everybody loses when lawyers get involved. And if it's just a matter of taking down some content, you're definitely going to do it. I'm going to do it. We're all going to do it, right? So the companies who have, who aren't happy with you using some of their content, they don't want to mess with it either, and they need a way to take it down easily. And so when you have a DMCA posted, they now have a way of getting in touch with you, and that most commonly happens. So I have seen a couple of these happen with regards to images. So people don't want their images being copied on your site. You have the DMCA and you get a DMCA request. It just means, hey, I don't want to sue you, but I don't like what you're doing. Take it down. And I've seen a couple of those for fan blogs, and nothing has ever come of it beyond that. There are some stock libraries like Getty who are kind of notorious for being jerks about when their images are being used, or I guess they're within their rights, right? They're images, but if you have a DMCA request, they'll shoot it to you. And something else. Actually, here, let me pull this up. Well, I just talked about it on the last slide, right? So the images, you can choose to save them locally, or you can choose to link to them elsewhere. So if images are going to be a problem, then they're going to not be hosted on your site. And so Getty would be yelling at BuzzFeed and not yelling at you, right? Because you're not doing anything. You're just linking to an external image. So that, again, I've never heard of anybody getting in trouble for doing it this way. It's just a way for you to kind of minimize that risk. Another thing that you can do is attribute the source. So let's go back to my test blog here, and there's an option in there for attribute the source site, and this is by default it's on. So what this means is at the bottom of every post, you're going to put a link back to the originating source. So if the article comes from BuzzFeed, it goes to BuzzFeed. It says article from BuzzFeed. Here, let me open it up here. I've seen some people turn this off. Hey, if you're going to claim it to be original content, then yeah, you'd want to turn it off. It's on by default because, well, I don't want you guys getting in trouble. And this is just something easy. And, I think it's the right thing to do. If you're using their content and curating their content, then you should give credit. And so here's an example of what it looks like. Simple, easy, just like that. And potentially it can, help remove some risk for you. Last but not least, there is this great article here on what makes fair use. What are you allowed to do and what are you not allowed to do? And at this article, they talk about what's legal. This is U.S. law, right? Because laws are different in every location. But it tells you what's good, what's bad, and it actually reviews some websites and gives them a curation score. And so it tells you if they think it's an A or if it's an F. And now keep in mind, these are a group of guys that want to help avoid legal risks, so they're going to be very careful, right? They want you to fully edit what's coming in. They want you to fully attribute what's coming in. They want you to only use thumbnails instead of big images when you save images locally, things like that. But if nothing else, it lets you know what the potential legal issues are. Like I said, I'm not particularly worried about it, but if you are, then you may want to take a look at that. And it's good reading too. I appreciate articles that have source. Like things that are sourced in case studies and stuff like that. It makes it very understandable. So any more questions on legal? Yeah. If you're in England and the site, say BuzzFeed is in the US, BuzzFeed would have to go through English law to get a hold of you. It's my understanding that's how that works. Because U.S. has no jurisdiction over you because you're in the U.K. Yeah, each is different, so you'll need to talk to lawyers about that. Yeah, Sue asked a good question here. So, I'm not aware of anybody getting sued for auto blogging. I'm not aware of anybody getting sued for curation. I have seen people get nasty letters from Getty, but that's not a common occurrence. That's cool. Good questions. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time on legal because, to be honest, it's kind of boring. So let's move on. Okay, let me jump right in here to picking a site focus, a niche, keywords, how all that stuff works. So like I said at the beginning, the viral universe is very small. In our database, last I checked, which was a couple weeks ago, there were 400,000 posts. So if you think about it, that's not a whole lot, right? That's a big dictionary's worth of posts there. And so what that means is you're not going to find anything on plumbing, raspberry ketones, whatever diet pill fad is going on, or car repair. We're not going to find content on that stuff for two reasons. One is the viral universe is small. And the second reason is who cares about car repair? That's not going to get shared, right? And so what we want to do is piggyback on the funny baby video, the Russian meteor, dash cam, the, funny twerking video. We want to piggyback off of that content and leverage it for our own traffic. So that really means we have two choices here. So we can have a solo viral site that exists and is just viral content. And that's what all the big guys do, like BuzzFeed and Viral Nova and Upworthy and all that stuff, right? That's definitely the easiest. And if you look at those guys, they are broad in scope. The Upworthy, they have their content spans everything. Their only focus or niche is that they're generally uplifting posts. It's kind of inspirational and makes you smile. Whereas you get BuzzFeed, they're kind of all over the place, and they have, crazy Russian dash cams that may not make you smile. It's a big crazy car wreck. So if you're coming up with a solo viral site, the most I would want to do is niche it down to something extremely broad. I showed that twerking example. I think that may be as focused as you could get. You have some crazy, dancing kind of hip hop world star lifestyle site, right? So I think that's as niche down as you can get. You're not going to get Houston lawyers, Houston law firm. That's just not going to work. And even lawyer or law firm is not going to work because that type of content is not shared. We don't want that content. We want stuff that gets shared. Okay, so if your site is broad or generally niched, like Twerk Nation or like, ilovepuppies.com, I think that falls in one segment, right? The other thing is, say you have a site and you want to integrate viral content. That's definitely the minority, but the way to make it work is you throw all this content, the viral content, in its own category. So make a category called fun and random and stick all of this viral stuff in there and put that in a section of your site. That way the viral content that is kind of off topic doesn't clutter your site, but it also snags those long tail keywords so that you get Google traffic, and through the social shares, you get traffic that way too. So just remember for that section of the site to put your site logo and your header bar up there. That way people can kind of click around and go to your site. But yeah, and use this stuff to give your site personality as well. You can be a Houston law firm, but start pulling in content from Upworthy where it's 12 great places to see. 12 amazing bridges, whatever they've got going on. And that way you've got a little, these guys are kind of real, they're accessible. Of course, if that's not you, then it's a whole nother issue going on. Okay, but I think it's important to realize that, while keywords are effective, you need to be smart with the way you use them. So something else I've seen, a common mistake, is the way people are using the search engine. So when you type in dog, we pull in any article that has the word dog. And so that could be, look at this dog attack. It could be the dog star up in the sky is getting brighter because the star is about to go supernova. Or it could be, Miley Cyrus is going to the dogs. And so because of this, I highly recommend you take 5 or 10 minutes and you curate posts. Because what's going to happen is your site, while all this content comes off viral sites, you're not going to want a portion of it, a third of it, a half of it. And so what you can do is you can trash them, and then the overall quality of your site is going to be a whole lot better. So take that 5 or 10 minutes. It's important, right? If this is going to be a site you're going to make traffic on or use to generate traffic, then invest a little bit of time to make it actually work, or at least work better. You can have it go full autoblog. That's actually what I do on our test sites. But the reality is, if you want something that you can flip or that you can make money on, take a little bit of time. It's not 40 hours a week. It's less than 1 hour a week. That's not a huge investment. So the other thing with search terms is things like dog bowl without the L there, dog training. So these first three can all be found with the keyword dog. So all you need to do is have the keyword dog, the keyword dogs, and that'll pull up everything with either of those words in it. And so you don't need all those additional words. And the reason why is posting to WordPress is really slow. And so you don't want to have 50 keywords, because what's going to happen is our database is going to search all 50 keywords across all 29 data sources. And it's going to take a while. And as we feed your website articles to post, eventually we're going to run into a timeout error. And that happens because your web server says, it's taken too long to get results, I give up. And so what happens is you're not going to get the post that you expect, and you're not going to be happy. So prune these keywords down to just what's important. Leave out dog bowl or dog training, because dog will catch that as well. And then you're going to be a much happier guy. A suggestion that a handful of people have made is to allow categorization of posts. Now, the way bullet viral traffic works is all incoming posts come in with one category, such as fun and random, or with their source category. So if we're pulling it from BuzzFeed, it'll be one of 27,000 categories. If we pull it in from Viral Nova, I believe they don't have any categories. So it just depends. If you want it to go all into one place, you can. If you want it to go in the source categories, you can. But we don't allow you to route specific keywords to specific categories. There just isn't enough viral content to do that, and you're gonna be frustrated and pissed off at me, and I don't want that. So, does that make sense? I agree it's a useful feature, but it's not a useful feature for viral content. You can use the RSS feed, and then it goes against billions of pages, and you're going to find content. But with the viral stuff, the stuff that people share, it's just not going to work so well. If you want to do it, say you have a dog and cats website, and you want a category for dogs, and you have a category for cats, it's just going to require a manual effort. And again, it's not a lot of time to invest. Just do it, and you'll see the results. And the last question here is how we prevent duplicate posts. So obviously we suggest to curate, if nothing else, just to trash posts that you don't like. But posts can come in duplicates, or they can't come in duplicates. And the way we do that is we have a setting on the back end that you can't see that says this blog has already received this article. So you can change the title, you can change any of the content in the blog post, and we're not going to give you that same blog post again. So don't sweat it at all. We do a good job about that. Does that make sense, everybody? Any questions on keywords, niche? Yeah. Okay. So when you're specifying keywords, all I can do is suggest to keep it narrow, keep it broad, make it dog, and don't put in 10 more. Or if you have diet, if you're in the diet niche, maybe make it weight loss as one keyword and diet as another keyword. And of course, you're going to get articles that they're not a great fit, but it's just part of the game. It's just what we deal with search engines and how all this stuff works. Yeah, good question. Everybody ready to move on? All right, let's do it. All right, let me talk a little bit about SEO and organic traffic. Now, this is one that's near and dear to me because, I don't know if you're aware, I've been in the web space for about 15 years now, and I've been doing SEO all along the way. But I've really got serious with SEO about 4 or 5 years ago. God, I guess it's been a while now. And it started out with me doing SEO seriously for clients and for my own websites. But then I quickly realized that the tool sets out there are pretty poor, and that I could license my internal tools to other folks, and we all could benefit. And so because of that, I've developed all sorts of website services, 1-hour indexing, drip feed links, Linklicious. So let's just say, I build millions of links a day. I get indexed millions of links a day. This stuff is, this is old hat to me, and I see thousands and thousands of SEO campaigns. So this is definitely is something that's near and dear to my heart. So let me talk a little bit about the bullet viral traffic posts, and then how they can get you organic traffic. So Google has a large search index. When you search, they go through many, many billions of pages. They don't even specify how many pages they have in their database anymore. But the thing is, even though they're that big, they don't know about all the web. They simply can't know about all the web. And more importantly, they filter out portions of the web. So if they think a page isn't valuable, if it's too thin or if it's duplicate or whatever, then they take it out of the search index. And so when people search, they're not going to find that page. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that Google thinks that all of your pages are worth something. Does that make sense? So there are a few ways to do this, and I should have put them on this slide, but let me just run them down for you real quick. Okay, so your site needs to be fast. If your site is slow, the Google crawler won't come very often, and your pages won't get indexed very well. Your site needs to be an authority. The more good links you have coming to your site, the more important Google thinks that it is. Therefore, the more pages on your site that Google will want to store. Sounds logical, right? The next thing you need to know about indexing is that the pages themselves need to be valuable. So if you have a page that's got one sentence on it, Google's going to see that and go, there's nothing here. I don't want to worry about it. But if you have a thick content page, it's got 500 or 1,000 words, got some photos, it's rich, Google will think that's more valuable and be more likely to index it. So what we found in our testing is that naturally Google will index about 10% of the web. So for all the backlinks that you build and all the backlinks that you buy, 90% of them are not indexed. Yeah, that's a crazy number, isn't it? So for that reason, we built 1 hour indexing, and we use some Google magic, like not involving link building, but involving working with Google to present them the links in a special way so that they're more likely to get indexed. So with 1 hour indexing, we actually see typically 60 to 70% indexing for any given page. Now, there are other things that you can do to increase your indexing, but that's an amazing place to start, and you'll get really good results from that. Next thing you need to worry about for SEO and organic traffic is how your site is built. Now, the buzzword nowadays is called silos. So if you want to do some further reading, just Google about silos and SEO. But the gist of it is you don't really need to worry about this so much because WordPress does a good job, especially with Bullet Viral Traffic plugin. All the posts that come in have keywords in them. So if you look right here on this given post that we were looking at a minute ago, I've got all these keywords here in my title, which is a good thing. And if you look at all this content all the way down, I've got images, I've got copy. This is just great. And so what happens is, after I get dozens and dozens of posts and hundreds of articles going on, eventually Google crawls those and they index them. And when they're indexed, if someone searches for small furry creatures start to appear, guess what shows up? This site is going to show up. That's what we want. We want that natural organic traffic coming in. And I didn't foresee this being such a powerful source of traffic, but our users who have been emailing in have said that they've had amazing results immediately, as in they'll have 100 pages indexed in the first week. And not only that, they're getting 100, 200 visitors a day from people clicking on all these long tail terms. So it's amazing because, like I said, I fully didn't expect these brand new websites to be able to rank and generate traffic like that, but it is happening. One funny one was a guy that said, hey, I installed it 2 days ago, and my target keyword, I'm already ranking on page 1, position 4, right behind BuzzFeed, position 3. And the article that was ranking on page 4 was the one from BuzzFeed, which was in position 3. So bam, straight away he was already on page 1. So it's very possible, and it's a great traffic source. Something else to realize is that comment spam is good. So I've had a few people complain about their blogs are getting spammed. Obviously, that's out of our control. Nothing we can do about that. But here's the thing. As you can see, this particular blog has 880 comments awaiting moderation, right? I've got another one that's got over 10,000 awaiting moderation that I started back in November. So here's the thing. Comment spam is good because that means the bots have found you. And the reason bots have found you is that you are ranking in Google. Make sense? They can't find you if you're hidden in nowhere land, but if you're showing up, then they'll find you and they'll start spamming. Now, you can get rid of the spam really easily. Just install Akismet. It's a plugin that gets rid of spam. There are some other ones too. Pretty much anything can work, but just remember that comment spam is a good thing because that means you're starting to rank, which means you're going to start getting good traffic. And last but not least is something that I didn't even think about, but one of our users did. And it's that translation is a hidden gold mine. This completely hit me out of the blue. This was earlier this week. One of our users is generating content based on the language, right? So they're doing real-time translation for content that comes in. So this will be translated to German or Spanish or French or whatever. And they're getting 100 visitors a day from it. They're picking up all that search engine traffic because Google sees some French viral content talking about this bats coming out of the cave. It's totally crazy. But yeah, it just surprised me, and they're having great success with it. And, obviously we all know that machine translation kind of sucks, but it's good enough. And interestingly, I've got a buddy that's in lead gen for the casinos, and he gets $400 to $500 per lead. And that's his specialty, is he does all these lead gen pages in different languages in different countries. He said that the US is kind of tapped out, and so he's hit the European market, and he's having great success. Actually, he has for over a year. So translation, definitely something to think about. If you're a native speaker in a language other than English, you could actually have a real viral site going here. So definitely consider thinking about investing a little bit more time to build an amazing resource. And just to talk a little bit more about that translation being a great source of traffic, I've got a little bonus at the end, a little translation bonus to give you. So just hang on until the end here, and then let me share with you something special about that. Okay, now let's move on to the next slide. Oh, wait. Any questions? Anybody have questions? Nothing real? Okay, yeah. The link building is a good one. I didn't even touch on that. So when you have a blog, you want authority links. And, the more authority links that you have, the more important Google thinks your site is, and everybody's happy, right? And so all of your pages will by default be ranked higher. You can definitely use the cheap links. You can use blog comments and forum profiles and things like that. And in fact, our service right there, Drip Feed Links, and our backlinks, that's how they work. So you can definitely link build to all the pages and get good results. Yeah, and you don't even need to build a lot of links. You can build 50 links to each page, and then you're going to see, those pages, the long tail terms are going to rank more. Make sense? Yeah, as far as anchors are concerned, I'm a huge proponent in using the raw URL for most anchors. Don't use keywords. Save your keywords for the higher quality links. And even then, your keywords should only be maybe 10% of the links that you build. But I would use the raw URL of the page that you're building links to for 80% of your links. Does that make sense? Yeah, the whole deal with SEO is you want to be as natural as possible and look just like all the other websites out there that aren't doing SEO. And as part of that, the raw URL is the most common URL. And so you're just going to blend right in when you do that. If you over-optimize, if you use too many keywords, Google's going to smack you. And yeah, that's one thing we don't want. Yeah, good question. Thank you. Anything else? Oh, yeah, long tail terms. It's just a tech geek term where, and let me drag this over here. So a long tail term might be, well, it's kind of bad because this isn't a buying page, but it's typically like a long phrase. So does that sound like a scary horror movie? That's kind of something that there's not going to be a lot of competition on, and you will be able to rank for that pretty easily. You're not going to be able to rank for Texas, but you might be able to rank for, whatever, Bracken Cave in Texas. Maybe not that. I don't know. Not naturally anyway. But if you build some links, possibly, then that would show up. That makes sense? Yeah, so long tail terms are just terms that are a little bit longer, that are easier to obtain. And the whole deal is you're not going to see a whole lot of traffic from them, but in aggregate, you're going to see a whole lot of traffic from them. So maybe people are going to search for this, and you're going to get one person a week that comes from that term. But you're going to get one person a week that searches for this, and one person a month that searches for this. But when you add them all up, right? So say this has 3 or 4 terms that get a search a month. And then you have another 100 posts that each get a search or 2 a month. Over time, you're going to get a whole lot of traffic. So it's kind of like every penny counts. It's the same thing, right? Every click counts. And so over time, you're going to get a click here, click there, but you're going to get 100 visitors a week or 100 visitors a day, just like a couple other people already. Okay, yeah, good question. Sorry, I'm kind of skipping around a little bit, but I think I got it all. Okay, anybody? Okay, moving on. All right. So I just talked about SEO, which is kind of my favorite thing and the thing that I'm best at. And, obviously that's getting people 100, 200 visitors a day straight away. Again, total surprise to me, but it's happening out there. The other way, which is the primary way that bullet viral traffic gets traffic, is through social signals. When articles go viral, when they get shared, people get exposed to your site and then they click through. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of the second pillar there of getting traffic, right? Traffic can come from organic or SEO. It can come from social, or it can come from paid. So this is that second leg on the stool. So I've got a link here, YouTube link, which is the training video for how to set up Jetpack Publicize, which is the tool that we suggest you use for automatically posting to your social channels. It's not some $50 plugin or whatever. This is actually free. You just need to install Jetpack. So, if you want to send me $5 for a referral, I'm happy to. You would be surprised at how many people didn't even realize that this existed. It's been around for a while. It was pretty buggy for a while too, but within the past year or so, they've really cleaned it up. And like I said before, they've got a really good community that supports it really well. So I really recommend those guys. So social traffic can come from any of the social channels: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all sorts of guys. I really like to focus on Facebook because those guys are really a lot more social, and it's a lot easier to target them. It's a lot easier to kind of lead cap them. It works very well. Okay, so here are the ones that Jetpack supports: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Path, and Google+. So really all the big ones. So I guess for purposes of this conversation, I'm going to refer mainly to Facebook, but just assume that it could apply to any of them. The first thing you need to decide is this content going to post on your personal Facebook wall and Twitter account, etc., or are you going to have a business page or a fan page that you want it to post to? I don't want to post this type of content on my walls, or at least not often, and so I don't do that. I post it to my pages. And in fact, the graph there on the old sales page showed what happened when I hooked it up to one of my dead Facebook pages. So I had a dead account I haven't used for a year that had, 15,000 fans or so, and first viral post on there, bam, more than 200 people came to the site. And then I had another couple blips over the next couple days as people continued to share it. So if you have business pages or fan pages that you're not utilizing, this is a great way to get additional exposure. And so what happens is, these guys see the post come across their feed, they like it, they share it, they click through to your site. And then the reverse happens as well. Say organic people are coming to your site, they like it, they share it, and then they go to your Facebook. So it's a virtuous circle. Hopefully you have an existing page that can be used to kickstart this. If you're starting from a brand new page, a social, a fan page that has 0 or close to 0, and a new website that has 0 close to 0, you're going to be in for a little bit longer haul because you have to grow the traffic at both simultaneously. And most likely it's going to require a little bit of time and a little bit of money to kickstart. Doesn't have to be a lot of money, right? You can do the penny likes or 2 penny likes to grow your page, but ultimately, it's going to be a longer go. An important thing to realize is that your edited posts or cloned or copied posts won't get reposted to social. This hit me the first time I was using it. It's hit a whole lot of people who have emailed into the support desk. Essentially, WordPress knows, or your WordPress knows, that once something has been published, don't publish it again. And so if you go in and you fix a typo, it's not going to get fixed on the social channels. So just realize that. And that's probably the most common mistake here when all this stuff that's going on. And the last thing I want to touch on is list building and advertising. So this is kind of a bigger topic, and it's kind of a conceptual topic too. So if you're building funnydogsviral.com, you should be growing your Facebook page and building a following there. And potentially you should be doing lead capture and newsletter going on the website as well. But on the social side anyway, you want to be building that fan page, because what happens is you're going to get exposed to those people for free as you post to your wall. Now, we all know Facebook has kind of changed their deliverability a little bit, or their reach of their posts. And so at some point you may need to advertise, to get additional exposure. All of the big guys advertise, right? And we can kind of talk about that with regards to ROI. If you've got monetization in place, you're going to want to advertise so you can scale it up and make a lot of money. But in this case, you want to build your list, and when you need to talk to them, you can either do it organically, and you may reach 10, 20, 30% of that, your page's followers, or you can pay to boost your post. And so it's $5 or whatever, and that post gets seen by a lot of people. So just remember, you're building an asset here. You don't want just a site by itself. You want a site and the Facebook page and everything else that goes with it, the Twitter account, etc. And when I want to go over monetization here in a little bit, and you'll find that the properties that have a social account tied to it, especially the bigger social accounts, are perceived as way more valuable. And so the price when they're sold at Flippa or other sites get a whole lot more money. So it's very important for you to worry about list building, and later on you can boost those posts. But in general, social traffic is a great way. It's the ideal way to make bullet viral traffic successful. Make sense? Anybody? Questions? Yeah, great question here. So we recommend Jetpack Publicize, but there are many other third-party components that you could use instead of Jetpack Publicize. I just want to give you tools that I know work. I haven't used the other ones or used them extensively, so I can't really, I don't want to point you to it, because then you might yell at me if it screws up. But some of them, they have different features. They have scheduling that they can do. They can post to multiple groups at a time. Some have curation integrated into it a little bit. So it just depends on what you need and what you want to use it for. I'm all about get it up quick and figure out how to make money in a little bit. But, if you want to invest a little bit of money in a tool, if you want to invest a little bit of time in curation or, whatever, then that's perfectly fine too. It's whatever fits with your strategy. Yeah, good question there. Cool. Okay, let's move on. All right, so monetization has got to be the most common question that we received. I don't know if it's half of the questions that I've gotten, but it's definitely a lot of them. And I think it's really important. So obviously the first step is getting traffic, and then the next step is monetization. And once you have monetization in place, then you can scale. Then you can buy ads and drive more traffic and worry about that. But it's unless you have money to blow, I would suggest getting monetization in place before you start scaling. I don't mind blowing $50 or $100 on driving ads just to see what happens on things. But in general, you need to start making money. Okay, so the good news is you can make money with bullet viral traffic using any approach that works for any other site. So there's nothing special or unique about the plugin and the content that you get that makes it different or monetization different. So if you can dial in your monetization for this type of blog, it'll work anywhere, or vice versa. If you've got monetization in place on one of your other sites, it should transfer right over. Okay, and so let me show a few examples of monetization types, and then you can, in your head, figure out what applies best to you, right, and how you can make that work. So first, let's talk about traditional ads. You can use any type of banner ad, the Taboola AdSense, etc. A good example of that is Viral Nova. So the cool thing with traditional ads is they're very easy to use. All you do is copy and paste some code and you're up. I showed you earlier with the default theme. You just slap a text widget over there and bam, you've got your banner ad in there. The principle is the same. You may want a banner ad someplace else. You take 10 minutes, you edit the theme, you paste in some code, and you're done. Banner ads are very easy to do. All it generally takes is some approval to get added to a network, and then you're up. All right, so I definitely suggest using these first because they're fast. You're not going to make the most money on it, but you are going to see easy money on it because just it is what it is, right? So as an example, let me show you Viral Nova. So as you can see, they've got a couple of AdSense going on, right? Got the banners here. And then you've got a whole nother network with these inserted posts. Pretty interesting, huh? Even more posts from the third-party network. Of course, these are all kind of virally content. These guys have it down to a science. And more AdSense. So these guys have used banner ads from the very beginning. They used AdSense from the very beginning, including getting, I think it was a $90,000 month in December about a year and a half ago. So, it's this stuff just flat out works. Now, something interesting to know about Google AdSense is that they do not allow autoblog sites. So if you have an AdSense account and you're going full autoblog, your account may be at risk if it comes under audit. If you're seeing just $1 or $5 a day or $20 a day, whatever, they're probably not going to care. But if you start seeing some good traffic, they're not going to like that, especially once it goes under manual review. So your options would be use AdSense to get started and change, or curate the posts to make them a little bit unique, or just risk it, which is what a lot of people do, including a lot of the viral sites that I've seen our customers use. They slap AdSense on it, and some have been running for many months and haven't gotten smacked. So that's definitely an option here. The next thing we can talk about it is affiliate offers. So if you've got a niche, especially, affiliate offers are great. If you have a dog site, then you could have a niche affiliate offer for dog training or dog treats or dog leashes or dog walking services or whatever, right? If you have a broad viral site, it's a little bit tougher to make an affiliate offer. It's got to be something broad like lose weight or get a college scholarship or something like that. So an example of an affiliate offer would be Godvine. So as you can see, they've got their AdSense going on here. They've got their lead capture here, right? Which is great. Highly recommend it. That way you build your list. And they have an affiliate offer right here. Well, maybe this one in particular is an affiliate offer, but they've had affiliate offers on here. In essence, it's a product of theirs or a product that they yank off a ClickBank, and they make some money off of it. They make a commission on it. And it makes sense because, hey, these guys are whatever, it's Christian. So here's something interesting. Just a real quick tangent. So it's Godvine, but notice random, funny, cute. And how is this related to God? It's not so much, really. Here's pandas playing all day. That's not related to God. So just because their niche is God doesn't mean that all their posts are about God. It's uplifting, right? So I would consider this content like Upworthy. It's just a little bit uplifting. Interesting, isn't it? So anyway, the point is, if you have a niche or if you have a focus, it should be pretty easy to find some affiliate offers. If you don't have any niche or focus, then then you'll need to find some broader offers that have general appeal. It could be flowers on Valentine's Day, or pajamas for whatever, Mother's Day, who knows. So anyway, that's a great way to integrate in affiliate offers. Next is sponsored posts. So traditional ads, easy to get. Affiliate offers, they'll take a little bit of work to hunt and find one that works for you. Sponsored posts, you're going to need to be a sales guy. So here's an example of a sponsored post. And so BuzzFeed has partnered with BVT to talk about their food. And they have a post that looks like real content that isn't real content. It's just advertorial. So if you have the ability, if you have connections, you can definitely sell some posts or sections. I've seen them have entire sections that are sponsored. So all that works. Look, 13 secrets students taking courses don't want you to know. Sponsored by an online university. So, they use the viral clickbaity headlines, and then they have some sort of article here that's going to be reasonably interesting probably, and it all leads back to Ashford. So pretty cool. So if you have the time, if you have connections, you can definitely get sponsored posts. It's the best way to make money. You can charge the most, and these guys are going to be a lot more willing to pay than just a Google AdSense where you get a few pennies a click. E-commerce. So say you have an existing site, an existing blog, you can integrate in some e-commerce action going on. This is put on by the guys behind Digital Marketer, Ryan Dice and Perry Belcher, and they do an amazing job. And in fact, if you're in internet marketing whatsoever, I suggest you sign up for this newsletter for a couple of weeks just to read the quality of it. They do an amazing job of writing, and they're always pushing products, but you kind of don't mind because the writing is done so well. So if you notice, they have their own affiliate offers, and they also sell their own products. So this is kind of an integrated site right here. This is kind of an integrated site where they produce new content every day, so it's a blog, but they also have, they have gear here where, they're selling stuff. They're selling all their affiliate stuff. And, I don't know that any details behind it. I haven't done any research. It wouldn't surprise me if they source this stuff from China and they're fulfilling it directly just so they can make more money. How much is a tactical pen really? I bet it's $20 when you buy it, but I bet they get it for $25. Anyway, so that's an example of integrating e-commerce with the viral content, right? And let's go back here. And look, they know their audience. American Sniper, gets life without parole. ISIS Reign of Terror continues. They know who they're talking to. They're talking to all the preppers out there, and they're doing a good job of it. Like I said, I really respect the way they do things. They're doing a good job at it. Okay, last but not least, the way to monetize your site is to flip it. So there are a few ways you can do it. You can just build a site and sell it. You can build a site and get traffic and sell it. You can build a site and start making money and sell it. At each step of the way, you get more and more money for it. If it's just a site by itself, you're going to get a couple $100. If it's a site with some traffic, you may get $1,000 or $1,500. And if it's a site with revenues already, if you've got monetization in place, then you're starting to talk. You're going to get several $1,000 depending on how much you're going to get. And you know what? I had an example. There's actually a site that was listed for sale. I'll have to find it. I'll dig it out and maybe follow up with it. There's a site listed for sale that they see $30,000 a month in advertising revenue, profit, and they're looking to sell right now for $800,000. It's actually a pair of sites. They're selling through a broker. So, and there are two viral sites that I had never heard of, and I've been doing this for a little while, and they're making $30,000 a month. It's crazy. There are possibilities out there. Anyway, with regards to site flipping, here's a query that you can use to find out what's been sold on Flippa that has some sort of relation to viral. So as you can see, they've had 2,000 sales on Flippa that have something to do with viral. So some more than others. Raw confessions. Haven't clicked this one. Let's see how much they got for it. So look at that. They sold for $13,000. A PR1 website with, 250,000 uniques. Not bad, huh? Let's see how much money they had. How much revenue they had coming in. Look, only 3,000 registered users, and they sold for $13,000. That's amazing. Well, I don't want to get sidetracked too much here, but I don't see the revenue numbers here. I don't want to dig into it too much. It's not posted up, obvious. Anyway, let's look at another one here real quick. If I likes. All right, let's see what we got. So they sold, this was kind of old, but they sold for $350. And no Google Analytics. They've received 10,000 uniques. So pretty crappy site, and they sold for $350. It was a little ways ago. Let's find something more recent here. Let's go to the next page. Meme boat. That sounds pretty interesting. I don't remember it. Here we go. So this was only a year ago. It sold for $2,500. And look at that. No traffic. Got some AdSense on there. So look at that. Look at how much they made. $74, and they sold for $2,500. Amazing, isn't it? Look at that. Okay, so anyway, flipping sites at Flippa is a definite possibility. So take a look at it, and then I really think it's viable for a lot of people. It's very easy to build these sites with this plugin, and so you can just, if you come up with a cool brand, a cool name, it's going to be very easy for you to monetize. Make sense? All right, let me hop on to the next section. Oh, any questions? Wow. Okay. Got a few questions here. Let me take a few minutes just to answer these. I don't want to dwell on it too long just because we've already carried on long enough. But okay, first one. You can, for traditional ads, you can use any plugin or any text widget into your site. It's really theme dependent. Each theme is different. Obviously, we've got our themes, but there are the other ones as well. Pretty much all of them will have space for a text widget, and you just paste in banner ad code from whatever banner network you belong to. There are also plugins that you can use sometimes. You can use their plugin, any given network, and insert it in. Or, like I said, things are theme specific. An individual theme may have a bucket that allows you to paste in some ad code. It really just depends on the theme. It's not something we can kind of genericize and help you with. Yeah. Okay. So Sam wants to know about affiliate links. So let me pull this over here. Let's just pull in WordPress affiliate link. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. So, I personally don't do a lot of affiliate links in my sites, so I can't speak from firsthand experience. But what I can do is look at individual plugins, like some of these I've already clicked, and click through to see if that looks like it might be a good fit. So there's a free version and a pro version. And if you look, most of the people who have downloaded it have given it a good review. And it was last updated fairly recently. So it means they probably maintain it. So if this has the features that you're looking for, might be pretty good. So, you should just block out an hour or two just to find an individual thing that you like. And of course there are these collections that you can read, and they do some of the analysis for you. Easy as on is very common. I've seen that out there a lot. I don't know anything about Better Links Pro. Of course, WooCommerce is old school. So anyway, unfortunately I can't give you anything off the top of my head, but they're definitely out there. Yeah, as far as site flipping is concerned, all you need to do is get an account at Flippa. And you need to give them access to certain things on your site, like the analytics or any ad revenue. It just depends on whatever type of site you're selling. And just be prepared to answer some questions, because these guys, they always have questions. And look at existing listings or sold listings to see what type of information that people commonly want and commonly ask. Things like transition, how does it transition from you to them? How much time that you have to invest? Is it 10 minutes a week doing curation, or are you doing your own custom posts that take a couple hours each? You need to put all the details in about your site, and then market it amongst the groups. Put a for sale sign on your blog and see what happens. Okay, we can keep doing this, but let me go ahead and put a stop to this, and let's kind of wrap things up here. So, obviously I've spent an hour here talking about all the aspects of bullet viral traffic, but what I want to throw out before I close here today is that I've got a 6-week viral mastermind training class coming up. Now, of course, this training works for viral marketing, but it also works for just marketing in general. And so what I want to do is share with you my experience every step of the way as I build a viral site using all the best practices that I've talked about today, and then some more as well. So to do this, what I'm going to do is divide up a training class into 6 segments where we hit things in a natural order. First is, picking the brand and getting the blog set up. Next, we get the curation going and we do some SEO. Then we do the social. And then we, and every step along the way, just follow the training and talk about why decisions are made along the way. It's kind of like must-have information here, right? You don't necessarily know all the individual details, but what I'll do is make the choices and explain why I'm making the choices. That way you'll learn along the way. It's completely over the shoulder. And you know what? Undoubtedly, I'm going to screw up along the way, and I'm not going to edit it out. I'm not going to be doctoring screenshots. If a site's not getting traffic, it's not getting traffic. If my AdSense gets banned, it gets banned. Let's just see what happens. And, I'm going to share all the good, the bad with you. And the cool thing is, I'm not going to do this for $500 or $1,000 like all of the other masterminds do. I don't need a new Ferrari. I just want to cover my time here. And, I've already put these lesson plans together, and we'll start next week. Yeah, pretty awesome. So, these are going to be webinars where you can ask questions and get answers. And then, of course, you've got our loyal support monkeys that man the support desk, who are more than happy to help answer all the questions along the way as well. And all you have to do is pop over to the website here, and then you can find all the details. Pretty cool. And there's one extra bonus that I hinted at before, which I want to throw out there, and I did not put on the screen, which is I am working on an automatic translation plugin right this second that I'm going to give away to everybody who signs up for this mastermind. And this translation plugin will do versions of your site in whichever language you choose, so that you can get traffic from other locations and other Googles, right? Not just the US Google, but the Spanish Google, the Italian Google, etc. So this is a definite untapped way to reach the masses, and I think it's going to be an absolutely killer way to get more traffic. So that plugin alone, I could spin up a whole offer around it. It would probably be about $100, $97. So, click through to that site and read about the training, what's going to be included. And I know you're going to love it just because, this stuff is so catchy. We spend so much time looking at these posts and curating the posts and just enjoying it, right? This is very enjoyable for me. And I want to share that with you too. So hop on board, get this training, learn the details, and make your massive success. And you know what? With the first site that you sell on Flippa, you will more than cover the cost of joining this mastermind. And you're going to be in elite crew too, right? We're going to help each other. I'm going to make a Facebook group, and this is just going to be amazing. We're going to help each other grow and answer questions and do some fun stuff. So click through right now, and hope to see you on the other side. Have a good one. Oh, yeah, let's answer questions right now. Sorry, yeah, we got yelled at here. Any questions on this mastermind? Okay, yeah, so you just click through and you can read all the details. There is a curriculum. It's too much to fit on just the slide here, but suffice it to say, it covers the aspects that we talked about here in way more detail. So I talked for 5 minutes on legal as an example, but in the training, it's going to be a full 20 minutes that covers some case studies and examples. Same thing with SEO. I'm going to show you the exact tools that I use to hook up for indexing and things and link building. That way you'll have a complete recipe to follow should you want to follow and use the same tactics. And again, you're going to see these results real time. The only thing I ask is that you don't sabotage the viral site. don't do some negative SEO on me. Let's see what happens naturally. It's going to be a fun experiment here. Okay. So Kim wants to know more about the social integration. So yeah, that actually is going to be a particularly long training class because I really feel strongly that social is important to making your viral site work. and a lot of people don't have dead Facebook pages laying around that they want to use. And so, obviously you've got like the Don Wilson Facebook training class and all sorts of stuff that costs thousands of dollars. That's not part of this, right? But at the same time, you do need to be able to grow your Facebook group so that it does have lots of followers. So what I'm going to do is kind of distill down some of that stuff, those tactics to grow your Facebook pages so that your viral site can scale fast. It's going to be a really intense hour or two there just to go through how to grow those social accounts and put them to work for you. But yeah, that's a good question. Each of these individually can be a training course. And so what I want to do here, let me back up here. Each of the topics I want to cover, SEO, social, monetization, could be training on its own. But what I want to do is cover it in depth and then just have an open Q&A, right? That way you can get any questions answered that you may have. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to cover basic WordPress installation and things like that in the training. We're going to just bounce off the top of it, touch on it just a little bit, and that's it. Yeah, I really want to get to the meaty stuff, the stuff that can start making you money, including, obviously monetization and, picking widgets and things like that. So we'll do all that together. Okay, well, let's wrap it up here. Just if you have any questions, click through to the website, read the website right there. I know you're going to love it. It's going to be everything you need to take it to the next level. And truly, it's going to be me holding your hand as we go through this together, or rather you sitting by my side here, looking over my shoulder, understanding what's going on and watching a site be created. And hopefully you'll create a few of them at the same time while we're going through this together. Okay. Thank you for joining me today, and see you on the other side.